boss.
Yes, sir. Welcome back, everyone. It's Victory Monday. Victory Monday. No, listen, we gotta celebrate. We got a lot to celebrate, y'all. I'm here back with Cowboys Beat. You had him before as a reoccurring guest. Go on and tell them about yourself.
Hey, what's going on, guys? My name is Chris. I run the page Cowboys Beat. I'm on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. I'm on X, but I don't really put too much effort into my X. Whenever you see me on X, I'm usually clapping back at Eagles fans or really bad discredited analysts like a guy named Dan who ran out of the back of the end zone. You can find me on those social media pages. Obviously, Cowboys Beat. So I cover the Cowboys on my pages, and that's where you can find me at.
Yeah. Listen, we're gonna get right into it. You already are hitting it right on the nose. About the Dan Orlovsky and the narratives being pushed, the nasty narratives being pushed by the mainstream media. Why should Cowboy fans take this Victory Monday with importance and not let anybody diminish this win?
Well, because look, everything was working against you, and you're still able to come out with a win. Look, the Steelers, are they a great team? No, I don't think they're a great team or anything. I think they're probably an average to slightly above average team. They present certain threats that I think is actually going to really help this football team in terms of a team that is willing to run the football, that's going to consistently run the football. Is their run game great? No, it's not. But at the end of the day, I'm starting to think hey, this run defense actually might be pretty good. Mm-hmm. And the reason why I think that is because yesterday the Giants played the Seahawks. Everybody's like, Jonathan Hankins. Oh my God, how could we lose Jonathan Hankins? Well, the Seahawks allowed over 5 yards of carry to the same Giants team that you allowed 1.1 yards per attempt.
Right.
And they didn't have Malik Neighbors yesterday. They were pretty much, hey, we're going to run the football, and that's what we're going to do. And the Seahawks weren't able to stop that. I'm getting off on a little bit of a tangent there. Everything that could have went wrong for your football team, and you still won the game. That's why fans should be optimistic about this team coming out of this game. Reinforcements are on the way. Mm-hmm. It's not like I'm sitting there looking at this team and saying hey, this is what it is, and unfortunately, that's how it's going to be. No, you're going to get Parsons back here probably by San Fran. You're going to get Deron Bland back here probably by San Fran. Those are two guys who were all pros last season. You're going to get Tank and Marshawn Nealon back later in the season. Now, obviously, injuries do run their course, right? You'll probably lose a guy or two. Knock on wood, unfortunately. It's just the nature of the beast before those guys come back. Mm-hmm. But that's the NFL. That's just the way it is. Unfortunately, with the Cowboys in the early season here, they've been hit with injuries. And, look, they have a winning record right now. And I think, and here's the thing. I don't think people understand that it's actually really difficult to go on the road and win football games. And not only that, especially when you go into Pittsburgh, Pittsburgh is a very hard place to play.
Right.
And Dallas went in there, and let's keep it real. The only reason why that game was close is because of the mistakes that Dallas made. That's the story of the game coming out of this to me.
Yeah, and it bothers me with analysts like Dan Orlovsky. It's just funny the before and after what they were saying going into the game, knowing that we're underhanded, calling us a bad team, calling us a bad ran organization, saying this season is in the crapper and everything like that. And they changed their narratives in a complete 180, which is very predictable. But I'm just saying, Cowboys fans, don't let them take your joy. Yes, maybe overall that this Steelers team was not good. But this, in the nuances, when you break it down, it's a very impressive win. For instance, our offense has been struggling all year, right? We've been having complaining about it. Is it creative? How it's going to look. We face a top 4 defense in the Pittsburgh Steelers just now. and we were moving the ball consistently on them. Matter of fact, we only punt the ball once, and we left like at least 20 to 28 points on the board. So, and then your defense, the bar was already low, and you're missing your star player. You're missing your star player. That's a huge blow. Now the deep coordinator has to change his scheme. Now players, and then you have a front office is working against you, Cowboys Nation. We gotta take our wins where we could find them. You hear me? So when you have all of that and they play like the way they did, and they turn the narrative of usually when a physical team stays physical with us, we tend to fold in the past. And today, or yesterday, well, actually today, because the game ended this morning, they showed some fight. And you gotta be proud that you came on top, because we did everything to get to lose this game, but we stayed with it. We stayed the course. Now let's go in like deeper with the offense, and y'all can put in the chat. What player really impressed you?
Oh, I do want to say there's the two guys that I think everybody's going to talk about are Dowdle and Tolbert, and I'm going to give them their credit right now because there's somebody that I don't think enough people are talking about that really stood out to me. But those two were incredible yesterday. And the thing is, one thing that we talked about going into the season was, hey, this offense is going to be centered around Dak, CD, and Jake Ferguson. But you went into Pittsburgh, you played a really good defense, and you won that game with Dowdle and Tolbert being the main guys. Like, sure, CD and Ferguson stepped in and did some really good things for you. But the reason why you won this football game is because Dowdle played very well and Tolbert played very well. But another guy I want to talk about is KaVontae Turpin. I thought that KaVontae Turpin was very, very good in yesterday's game. He had to catch up the seam. They did some things with him, in bubble screens. And, I think that KaVontae Turpin is a better receiver than people give him credit for. Like, he is a very underrated route runner. Like, there was that play, I think it was week 1, where he ran the dig route. It's a perfectly executed route. He just didn't catch the ball.
Right.
But, the thing is, like, hey, in an offense that lacks separation, yeah, he made a mistake there. I want to keep giving him reps, though. To me, Brandon Cook's coming back. I'm like, hey.
Yeah, it's going to be some questions, very much some questions when coming back. Yeah.
I think Turpin's the better player right now. I honestly think Turpin's a better player right now. Maybe that knee infection was worse than we originally because I think it was an injury and he got an IV and it was a bad IV. And he saw like a specialist or something like that. I think that was the story there. Maybe that knee was really affecting him, but I don't know. I think that outside of that Giants game from last year from Cooks, I really think Tolbert I think he's a better receiver right now. And
that's not crazy to say.
I think that, and here's the thing. Not only do I look at what he does just as a regular receiver when it comes to route running, making plays down the field, but you can do gadget things with him. You can hand the ball off with him. You can, run these swing passes and these bubble screens, and he's much more effective in doing that than Brandon Cooks is. So, just very impressed with KaVontae Turpin. And obviously we know how dangerous he is as a punt returner and kick returner. So to me, I look at KaVontae Turpin and I say, hey, run that back with him. He needs to continue to get more reps.
Yeah. And that's going to tie it in. You're right. I like having these type of players because I just feel like it opened up McCarthy's playbook. Finally, in that giant sheet, he was finally looking at another section, adding motions to the run, orbit motion, exit motions. I finally saw a modernized version of his offense, and this is what we can critique him on, because him just going out there and just lining up and running, we're running into a wall. And you're not taking advantage of the quarterback you have in Dak. When you motion to gain information for your quarterback, or to get them out of position in this specific zone. So I was critical of Mike McCarthy. I'm glad he finally came through and actually, um, it opened it up, and hopefully the playbook stays open. Guy, I wanted to highlight because since we're not doing honorable mention, shout out to Honoluki. I feel like he's added a dynamic element to his offense that I think is going to prove to be dangerous. I made a video like before the season started. I thought like he was going to have a breakout type year. I didn't think it was going to be like this. Like the way he's been playing, he's your RB2, he's your fullback 1, he's your tight end 2. Like he's so versatile. We ran a screen yesterday, and it was a tunnel screen that you usually do to a tight end, right? And I just love, and then like I'm not even talking about his blocking. His blocking is still amazing because even on that fumble what Rico Dowdle had in the end zone, if Rico just would have stayed patient and ran right behind your fullback, he would have walked into the end zone literally. But he chose to go over the top because he was impatient. I mean, it was if it was just a great play by that linebacker, but if he would just stay patient and follow his fullback, it'd have been just an easier route.
See, I have a question for you, right? Like, Rico Dowdle did some good things yesterday. Like yesterday, Tank Bigsby out-rep Travis Etienne. If that trade is on the table and they're saying like, hey, 4th-round pick for Travis Etienne, are you saying no to that? Because I don't know. Like I like Rico, and like incredible game from him yesterday. I am not against potentially upgrading at that
position. I mean, yeah, the more the better. I hate our running back room right now. I had a hot take, but I think it's time for Zeke to go sit down. I think it is because what he does, one, he does not look the same. He's hurt. 2, he doesn't add too. I mean, I was already iffy on it. What he adds and what Dalvin Cook adds are the same thing. It's redundant. So adding a running back in, maybe he's your new what you wanted Deuce Vaughn to be, Travis Etienne, because he's a 3-down back, so sure. But I am very much proud of what Rico did. I mean, I feel like Rico is a volume back. All he's missing is just I feel like Rico plays like a freshman, but he is in a senior body, if that makes sense. Like when he breaks the contact and gets to the second level, I feel like in the early games, his eyes buck up and he just forgets what move to make. When he does that same situation come up in the end, I feel like he's very much poised and he knows what move to make. Like it was one run, he almost broke it for 70 yards if he would have kept his feet. But yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, look, I loved what I saw from Rico Dowdle. I'm just not not sitting here saying like, hey, absolutely no way can you move on from this guy. Like, no, no, I'm not saying move on. I'm cool with him being on the roster, but my thing is like, if we can find an upgrade, I think that'd be better. But one thing that one positive that I'm taking out of this is that I think you're starting to see this offense and this defense grow, right? Everybody, I think, overreacted to the Saints game, and then the Baltimore game, like, sure, yeah, they got their ass kicked up until they didn't, right, until they ended up coming back. But I mean, like, look, I think that this team is dealing with some early season adversity, and like this time this year, right, you're 3-2 right now. You were 3-2 this time last year. I get it. The Lions game's not going to be easy. You can win that game, though.
You can.
The San Francisco game, that's not going to be easy. They can win that game, though.
Yeah.
A lot of people are looking at these next 2 weeks as like automatic losses. I don't know if I'm seeing that because, I mean, look, everybody talks about, hey, the Lions from last year, like they should have beat the Cowboys. But it's like they haven't shot themselves in the foot like multiple times in that game. Still ended up winning that game. And even if, like they called Hendershot for tripping, which was a bad call.
Yes, it was on Aiden Hutchinson. Yeah.
If they would have called that on the right person, that would have never happened.
Yep.
Like Dallas was the better team that day. And I understand they're two different teams. But at like the same token, like Jared Goff does not scare me. Like I don't think Jared Goff is that good. Like I understand he had an 100% completion percentage last week, Jared Goff will also have games like that, and then he'll turn around and have a 3 interception game or 2 interception game. Like he's really inconsistent, and I think that one thing that you're getting out of this Cowboys team right now is you're going to get better. I think you're getting better run defense because even though like this whole thing about Micah Parsons not being a good run defender, that's a lie. Um, like you just see that these guys are way more disciplined on the edge, right? Do you get what I'm saying here?
Yeah,
Like,
yes. No, you're 100% correct. Like you know what's happening? We're finally, and we're forced to because we don't have the talent. We have to play sound football. This is what happens when you play sound football. When you do what you're supposed to do, and like Okoye Media preaches, when you don't play hero ball and try to stick out for your personal brand and have just a solo mentality, and you work together as a hive, like a hive mind, as a unit, then you can win any game. Any game is winnable as long as because I promise. Like the Cowboys look more sound in this Pittsburgh game, but it wasn't perfect. A sound game from the offense. You move the ball up and down on the Pittsburgh team. Dak, we cannot have those turnovers in the red zone. We had 3 turnovers in the red zone. We had a fumble. We had, and I think was it well 1 interception in the red zone. I think it was another fumble. I don't know, or we just had like a 3-and-out. But and what's the main component of it is the O line is playing better, which everyone should have known. We added 2 new guys to this offensive line, and the main thing they're not going. You're not going to get cooked cornbread off bat. It's got to be a work in progress. Like it's night and day from the Browns game. We did a simple zone play in the Browns game, and BB's on the floor, Zach Martin's on the floor, and no one's just. We can't sustain blocks because we're tripping on each other's feet. And cohesion went into like the Steelers game. Now you've seen them passing off the double teams correctly, actually knowing each other's tendencies, when just feeling out the. And also we're having we're sticking with one running back, and now it's affecting the defense in front of us. And now I feel like that's giving McCarthy more confidence in his play calling. I think he was coaching tense. I mean, it's a lame duck season because I just felt, I don't know, his play calling was out of whack. And I was screaming at the TV because I'm like, McCarthy, what are you doing? Do you read the room? We have 2 rookies. We have a bunch of young guys. Read the room and keep it simple. Run the ball and open up your passing. Then because when you do that, you notice when you just pass, TJ Watt can live in the backfield. But when you run, then hit him with a pass, you form a rhythm, and now TJ Watt can't pin his ears back. You know why offensive line hate one-on-ones and why we are at a constant like disadvantage when we're playing like one-on-ones? Is just the drill when one-on-one versus offensive D-line. It's because the D-line knows it's a pass and they love it. Rather than team period, they don't know it, and now they can't just pin their ears back. And you help you just install confidence. That's the main thing we need to do in this team. Focus on building confidence, both sides of the ball.
And here's the thing when it comes to this offense. To me, like I actually think that the offensive line is doing a pretty damn good job run blocking. And like, look, I just think that this whole running back by committee thing that they're trying, I just think it blew up in their face. And I think that they're pivoting very quickly to, hey, Rico Dowdle's the number 1. Because here's the thing, when it comes to running back by committee, that doesn't mean like, hey, we run the ball 30 times, everyone gets 10 carries. Like, no, you have your number 1 running back who will get 17, and then your number 2 running back will get like maybe 7, and then your number 3 running back will get like 6. But at the end of the day, like the reason why running backs by committee that way don't work is because, offensive linemen block differently for certain running backs.
Say it again.
And offensive lines block differently for certain running backs. So when you have one running back and you know how to block for that running back, and that's a consistent throughout the course of the game, now you're getting more reps with that running back and the way he runs. So it's like, oh, okay, now I know what I'm doing here. So think that, I mean, you'd be able to describe that more in depth. Like I know that more from the surface level. You'll be able to go more in depth with that.
Yeah, like who's behind you affects how the defense in front of you react. Like, so if I give you an example, when we have Rico Dowdle out there, we love the zone action. Let Rico bend the line of scrimmage and pick, which of his three reads is he going to go, which is front side, out the gate, which is like, outside, or it's a cutback. And how the defense reacts, well, it's slow. It's a slow to the line of scrimmage, and that allows your double teams to form up cleanly, and we can actually form multiple lanes for Rico versus a guy like Zeke. He doesn't have that, that quick stop and start like he used to. He can't really bend the line of scrimmage like he used to. So his first move is his move. So that which in turn he's downhill. Now if he's behind you, that means the linebacker is going to be downhill, and we're going to be more staggered on our blocks. Now we can catch them. That's why I like using Zeke later in the games when the team is beat up, because if we can catch them staggered, like the defense staggered in our double teams, we can get up and Zeke can get a nice 10-yard, 8-yard chunk, But having that randomly without a plan throughout the game, that was you. When you have a running back committee, you need to have a clear-cut plan for it to work. And just going out there like it's Madden and just changing, oh, let me go to roster. I'm feeling Deuce today. I'm feeling Rico today. You can't just do that because you're especially with the offensive, like no one can get in a clear-cut rhythm. Now we're just playing Russian roulette with success.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I mean, like, that's the thing, right? Like I'm not against Zeke on this roster. I'm really not. But like there needs, like, I believe in role players. I think everybody believes in role players. Zeke is a role player. He has a certain role on this team. You want to know what? I actually think that he's a little better than people give him credit for when, he's catching the ball out of the backfield.
Yeah.
I do actually think he's a little better than people give him credit for. And I do think he does have some tough runs there. But my thing is when they take Zeke away from the role that he's asked to play, that's when I'm just like, all right, like, I'm cool with him being on the team. Just don't ask him to do certain things and we're straight. And then they'll ask him to do the things he shouldn't be doing. And I'm like, well,
we saw it a couple of times, just like, or yesterday / this morning. Like it was one play, I think Rico just got a big game and we went hurry up. And then at the same time, Rico's asking for a sub and he calls in Zeke. And then Zeke doesn't know the play. So Dak got to tell him what to do. And he's running like a Texas route. And we passing the ball and he ducks. You know what I'm saying? And you can tell that's not what Zeke normally is there to do. Yeah, that's what happens when you call plays out of whack. You don't call plays for that fits your back. That makes sense.
And here's the thing, like I don't mind at all when they throw like Zeke a swing pass and you get him out in open space, because I'm telling you this right now, defenders they would rather try and tackle a guy like Rico Dowdle out in space compared to Zeke. Rico Dowdle's just a little more shiftier. He's going
to run away from you.
He's a lot better at getting through some of those holes that the offensive line's creating. But, like Zeke can still play. It's just the fact that they're asking him to do things that he shouldn't be doing is kind of my problem with, the whole Ezekiel Elliott situation.
Yeah, we just don't have a clear cut, or like, it's just something like it's be miscommunication. So that comes with, not only the team being cohesive, the coordinator, the play caller being cohesive with his unit, out there. So yeah. Well,
one last thing I want to add to that is like, to the Cowboys fans that are sitting there like pessimistic about their football team, like, guys, look around the league. There's a lot of bad football being played right now. And I think what you saw yesterday was the roots of something that could be very good. You can tell that this team isn't in a rhythm yet, that the continuity isn't there. Name me a team outside of the Minnesota Vikings, where you're seeing legitimate continuity and a legit rhythm to what they're doing. There's just not many teams that are like that. So the fact that Dallas was able to go into Pittsburgh and make the type of mistakes that they have, I can't remember a single time where maybe the Texans game in 2022. That's the first time in a while that I can remember Dak making mistake after mistake and them still being able to win the game.
Yeah, and and it's also a trend around the league. Scoring, I think this week just bursted. Like it just hit the high 20s and everything like that. But yeah, let's switch over to defense. Should we start with the coach? Let's start with Mike Zimmer. This was I am very, very impressed with what Mike Zimmer did. Just the nuances, having everybody ready to go. We're dreaded. We're like decimated at the edge spot, and like decimated may not even be the word. And we were able to plug and play guys. Be able to communicate the philosophy and clearly communicate what he want done on the edge. And in my opinion, it looked the best it's ever looked before. What did you like? Yeah.
Well, I just want to make sure that I'm getting the numbers right here and see what exactly the Seahawks did yesterday with the Giants, because I thought the Cowboys did an incredible job against the Giants run game, but apparently it didn't matter because it was just the Giants.
Right? Yeah, and that was not a bad offensive line we were playing. That was not a bad running back we were playing.
So the Giants ran yesterday 34 times, 175 yards, 5.1 yards per attempt. Tyron Tracy yesterday, 18 carries, 129 yards, 7.2 yards per attempt. You go to what Tyron Tracy did last week against the Cowboys, 4 carries, 2 yards.
And you know what? You know what that tells me? And that's what I was so proud of for the Cowboys that last week. The first time this year, we steered somebody away from running the ball. Like, we made them think twice about calling the run play. And that's the first step. The biggest step is stopping the run.
Well, yeah, and I think you're getting better play from your defensive tackles. I think that's a big thing that's going on right now. And if they can continue to get this play from the defensive tackles, that's going to be huge for the Cowboys.
Right.
We had a big problem with how Linval Joseph and Mozzie Smith and Brandon Phillips played. I thought those guys played a lot better over these last 2 weeks. I mean, Linval Joseph had that sack, which was one of the best sacks you'll see from a one defensive lineman. So yesterday, like, I'm just looking at PFF right now, and I look at PFF grades as a reference, kind of give me a scale here. Mozzie Smith and Linval Joseph played okay run defense yesterday. But guess what? That's better than what you were getting. That's better than what you were getting from those guys a few weeks ago. So, I think that the linebackers are playing very well too. Overshone and Kendricks. And yeah, I mean, I expect to continue to see a very high level of play from the run defense. I think they turned the corner here. I really do.
Yeah, I haven't. I'm gonna do a big. Make sure if you keep watching, make sure you like and subscribe. To Cowboys Beat. Turn on the noti bell, because I'm gonna also be doing a long hour-long video, clip by clip, of the offensive line and also the defensive front seven, if that makes sense. And I haven't really, what I'm basically saying, I haven't dug into what Mozzie was doing, but I can tell he was doing his job, because the linebackers were actually running free and actually being able to scrape, come off blocks, and actually make plays. Because if he's not doing his job, then they're getting caught in the next level. So, and I was, watching Overshone play every week brings joy to me, like, as a football fan, man, because he plays with so much heart, so much violent. Like and he's not the biggest, he's not the strongest. He's just the most. It gives the most effort. You know what I'm saying? And like he's on every play. If he doesn't make the play, he's like he's slowing the guy down. He's playing at a different frequency, a different speed, and flying around. It's actually fun to watch. So
yeah, and hey, another guy who made a big play yesterday was Leofau.
Yes,
I mean, that punch out was
mm-hmm.
that was an excellent rep
on a third down. Yes, that was crucial in the late part of the game. That get us the ball back, and I think it kept them out of free field goal range. Like the defense played very good yesterday, very, and I was proud of going back to Zimmer, him actually draw up pressure because we were lacking Micah Parsons, and he was actually drawing up pressure, and it didn't get there, but it definitely affected Justin Fields.
Yeah, here's the thing: pressure is always one of those things that is very film reliant, right? Because like, hey, you're getting pressure on a quarterback, but he keeps completing passes. Like, all right, then the pressure is kind of a non-factor. But if you're seeing that the defensive line's getting pressure and they're altering the accuracy of the quarterback, then you're like, oh, okay, I can live with this. Like, yeah, they're not getting home. Like they didn't get home much yesterday. But at the same time, like I would say, like, hey, Justin Fields, kind of a hard quarterback to bring down, able to escape the pocket, all those type of things. And also, right, like this is we're on our like 5th and 6th defensive ends right now. Yeah, the sacks are gonna be they're gonna be hard to come by, and we'll see what happens. I mean, like, look, this is a flawed football team. Mm-hmm. You just have to ask the question, are they going to be able to work around their flaws? And, those answers or those questions will be answered for us in the next few weeks here, no doubt about it. 'Cause I think the next 3 games you're playing are Lions, 49ers, and then I think you get the Falcons, and then you get a little bit of a break there when you play Philly. And then forget who they play after that. But yeah, these next 4 games. The next 3 games, you'll learn something about yourself. I don't think Philly's a very good team, so I be able to have your way with them.
Yeah, and then also, like at the edges, we were able to generate pressures. I like the physicality they were playing with. Like, it was the one play I didn't believe was a flag, and I'm glad Justin Fields was okay. But I love the physicality, the hit that. He played awesome. Like that when the quarterback wants to take the ball in between the tackles, you make him pay like that. He doesn't slide. Yeah. You make him pay like that, and you hit him like that. They
bailed him out. They bailed him out on that one. And anybody who's coaching quarterbacks, any offensive coordinator, any head coach is going to scream at their quarterback for doing some shit, for doing some crap like that. You do not do that. Like, you don't go from, hey, I'm on the right side of the field. Now I'm going to run back to the middle of the field. Like, no, if you do that, you deserve to get popped.
Right. And he did that multiple times too. Like, he was routinely taking it in between, and, routinely he was getting laid out. It was just the one flag. And, I think we've never seen that from our defense before, playing that. Like I said, they were playing physical. I don't know if that's what Mike Zimmer was emphasizing to them this go round, and maybe, just maybe, the role players got it. Also, shout out to the secondary. Only that one play in the beginning, and I watched it back. It was a beautiful play design. They looked like some sweep action, and he acted like he was running, and then he took off running at the last minute. And as he's running, the ball is free, and then he just dropped it. The deep play that was that could have been dangerous for us. That's the only blunder I seen just off a casual eye. But man, they were sticking on the top of the routes with especially the safeties, man. And big shout out to Jordan Lewis.
Oh yeah. He's I said this on one of my podcasts. It's just the definition of good player. Gets in a system that flat out fits him, a coordinator that really believes in him, and
Mhm.
that elevates the level of play from the player. And I think that's what you're seeing from Jordan Lewis here.
I love his attitude that game. Like he really got into the mind of George Pickens, especially at the end of the game. But I was watching back some of the clips. Man, he was chirping and like being gritty and nasty with him all game. And I was like, yeah, I love that. You know?
Well, Jordan Lewis is an awesome player, which
Mhm.
is why like he's not one of these clowns like Eli Apple or Chauncey Gardner Johnson who can't play a lick, run their mouth, and then get clowned over the internet because of their poor reps. If
Right.
Jordan Lewis wants to turn into that, I'm cool with that. You want to know why? Because Jordan Lewis is going to go on the field and back it up. You know, you're not going to see many Jordan Lewis reps where he's out there flat-footed when you got somebody running a seam or a post or whatever route it was that Darnell Mooney was playing. You know, you're not gonna see that from Jordan Lewis. So
Right.
if he wants to turn into that, you know, because Amon St. Brown talked about it with Jordan Lewis and how he really got under his skin. If he wants to turn into that and be that, you know, tone setter for the defense, I'm cool with that. He can back it up.
Yeah, especially at this slot corner. Be that, please. And shout out to 27. I can't pronounce his name. Solid tackling. You know,
Amani Ari.
yeah,
Ori-
Mario. Yeah, like I don't even want to. I don't want to disrespect the man's name.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, we see you. You know what I'm saying? We see you. But what? Because we were saying all of this about our guys and the guys we were mentioning. They're not stars. So
No.
what do you think needs to be learned from the stars that they saw on the field this past week?
Well, I just think that, you know, when you get your backups in and you're playing your second, third string guys, one thing that they're going to do is they're going to play disciplined football because they understand like, hey, this is my opportunity and I might not get another opportunity. Like Tyrus Wheat, this is it for him.
Yeah.
Like, and that's the thing. That's why, like, when you see these second, third string players come in, like, people have to understand this is going to make or break the future of their entire career.
Yeah.
And if they go out there and they're undisciplined and they're jumping off sides and they're committing holding penalties or face masks, or they're not keeping contained on the outside, like, that's going to be on tape, and teams aren't going to want to deal with you. Like they're going to want nothing to do with you. But if you can go out there, prove that you can at least do your job, well, you're going to have a job in this league for as long as you can play, as long as your body allows you to play. And I think that's one thing that you just saw from these guys: Golston, Lawson. I sound like Jerry Jones here.
Golston,
Tyrus Wheat.
Tyrus Wheat, the guy KJ Hicks, did he play or?
I don't think he played, but that's what you saw from these guys. They were just doing their job, and it worked out well for the Cowboys. Now, if this team wants to, make a run in the postseason, they got to have their stars because, I mean, look, stars win championships. Difference makers win championships, and having these guys like Tyrus Wheat and those guys, like that's fine, like that's awesome, but it's not sustainable over the course of a long season.
Yeah, I saw this tweet. I was going to ask a question, but I'm just say what I'm excited to see Deron Bland come back in this system. I don't know why. I just feel like he's going to thrive in this system. Just going forward, I can't wait till we actually hit that point where we're getting healthy. Hopefully, it's like closer to the postseason, because that's going to make us even dangerous, a more dangerous team. Because no one's going to expect it. But yeah, I mean, is like. Is there a free agent? Or do you think this front office is going to get us help going forward?
I mean, I haven't really done any research on like what available free agents are there.
Mm-hmm.
I think they'll probably bring in a body or two, and I think what they're doing is they're just going to rely on the guys that they already have on the field or that they already have on this roster. Everybody's just going to go up one slot in the depth
chart.
Yeah, and they'll bring in somebody to replace the depth that they lost in terms of like, hey, Tyrus Wheat was our third guy for, Sunday's game against the Steelers. He's going to be our second guy next week and we got to get somebody to replace what Tyrus Wheat brought us from a depth perspective.
And then you can just go over some initial thoughts on Detroit and how you think we can win.
I mean, it's going to have to be just like this week. It's do your job football. I mean that's what it is when you play Detroit.
Mhm.
They want to. I haven't done too much research on Detroit. But one thing they want to do is they want to run the football. And they want to build play action off running the football. If you can turn Detroit into a team that's got to do 3, 5, 7-step drops, I'm okay with that. I feel comfortable with that just because I don't believe in Jared Goff
Mhm.
as a quarterback. I think he's significantly elevated by the scheme that he's in. And to the end, I'm gonna make videos about this later on in the week. And if Detroit fans want to get upset, they can get upset. Quarterback's not that good. I don't buy this. I don't buy this Jared Goff stuff. I really don't. People talk about this guy like he's, a top 10 quarterback. He's not at all. I don't think that's the case at all.
They love to
yeah.
flaunt their Super Bowl appearance. So I'm like, oh, okay.
Well, Jared Goff's a winner, man. Well, it's like, okay, you can talk about how much of a winner he is, but at the same time, like, I saw a team move on from him and then win the Super Bowl the very next year.
Yeah, man. It's gonna be a great week of football. It's another big test. We see if we can play sound football. See if we can still get healthy. Great news on Marshawn Nealon. If y'all haven't heard, it's not an ACL. It's just an MCL. So he may be just out like a month. But yeah, solid win. Solid. Celebrate this win. Don't let nobody tell you otherwise. Let's get ready for Detroit. Let's study this film and let's see how we get better. Make sure you to like and subscribe to the video. Make sure you subscribe to Cowboys Beat. If you want to see them videos he's putting out on Detroit, trolling Jared Goff, make sure you comment there and do your part. Hey man, is there any last thoughts?
No, I'm good for right now.